You are now in the Reality Capture Network.
Welcome to the Reality Capture Network, and we are excited to be here today talking with another fun individual who has experience in an industry not very many people in our network do have. We have a lot of people in our network from industrial spaces and from architectural spaces, and today we are talking about technology within entertainment and film, which is something new. So thank you for joining us today. And
thank you so much for having me.
we would like to let you, we like to start these out by letting our guests introduce themselves, where are you from, a little bit about your background.
Okay. So I'm actually from Venezuela, but I've been here in London for the past 7 years. My background, what I studied at university was industrial design. Never went exactly into industrial design when I finished university. Actually, I ended up doing different jobs that weren't related to design.
Yep.
And I did manage like petrol stations, different things that were not related to that, but things that always, in a way, they help you like in the future. And
Sure.
they help you to do different skills. And then I decided to come to the UK 7 years ago, just to have a different life and a more challenging and exciting. Never had in mind that I was going to end up working in the film industry, as I do now. So I started working with a marketing company at the beginning. Then, in a way, I discovered 3D printing, and that's how my whole life on like the 3D environment started, with 3D printing.
Awesome.
And that's how I started my company, printing things as everyone did, I don't know, 5 years ago. And that led to, in a way, working in the film industry, running the 3D printings in one of the biggest studios in the world, that is Pinewood, that is based in Uxbridge. So that's actually one thing just kind of led to the other one, and I was very lucky to be able to be part of the film industry. And that's how the 3D, in a way, helped, the 3D printing helped to get involved with 3D scanning, because everything is 3D in a way, everything is related, and it end up being a tool to, help your projects and help your clients to make new things. So it all connected. And so right now, at the moment, I'm just a 3D studio. So I do 3D printing, I do 3D scanning, I do 3D modeling. So that's pretty much how I got into the 3D world.
That's awesome. That's so the first time you learned about 3D, it was printing, and it was at a marketing company?
So the 3D, well, that was like market research, had nothing to do with what I was supposed to do, but it was being there that we start studying 3D printing and how that could help different companies, and how to approach maybe how to approach people, how to approach different technologies in different ways, or as a business strategy. And I was responsible for that report, and I was excited about it. I was like, this is amazing. And then I decided that I needed to go back to my roots, that it was the design. And that's how I started 3D printing and then 3D scanning.
Gotcha.
And that, exactly.
So maybe we can touch base on kind of some of the different technologies that you see. So, there's the 3D laser scanning, there's doing models from the data, there's the printing side, and not very many people know how those could be applied in entertainment or in the film industry. And we've actually had the pleasure of working on a couple projects as well in the industry, and it wasn't where we came from, so it was very new to us even. And I think it opened our eyes to see just how many sets within a film are actually virtual. And,
Right.
and
Yeah,
are not real.
Yeah.
Even
Oh, yeah.
sometimes very simple.
I had that disappointment, believe me, when I saw everything was cardboard and plywood, and that was like, oh, okay, this is definitely not real, but
Yeah.
you know, it's the magic of the films. And it's funny because it is an industry that is very old, and is in a very respectful way, is run by people who has been in the industry for many years, and they're very traditional. So when it comes to 3D printing, they still is the kind of people that still think that that's going to take someone else's job. And they are, of course, they appreciate the sculptor, they appreciate the plasters, they appreciate the model makers. So it is interesting how we, as you know, as a community that is into 3D scanning, 3D printing, and you know, modelers, 3D models, we are in a way responsible of taking these new technologies and presenting it in a way to these industries that they can understand, and they can see it, how to use it as a tool, but not as a replacement of, like, someone else.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of technologies being used in the film industry. We've seen, you know, with the behind the scenes, you can see how they're using VR and how they're using of course 3D scanning, laser scanning for VFX. But they do not connect with the other departments, so they don't connect with the other productions. So the way they transition or they evolve in the industry is very slow. That's my opinion, because there is no communication, and everything has to be in such a really fast pace that it doesn't go ahead in the next project, or there is someone that is really into the different technologies, and they're very eager to do it. So, for example, I know people in costume that they discover 3D scanning and photogrammetry, and they just develop the entire workshop based on that and how they can use that as a tool. So it is interesting to see how it is still a bit of a question mark when you see some people say, like, we can 3D scan it, and then it's like you've said, like, I don't know, it's like they didn't have any idea about it or how to use it. So I think what you're doing here is amazing, because as you said in one of your first podcast, is people sometimes they don't know they can apply things to other, you know, industries, or they are aware of it, but they don't know how to use it. And then because it's more complicated and they don't know about it, then they end up doing, you know, different things that are not the best option. So just the not knowing, it can put them behind in in a project. Or
and we see that really across all industries, because, you know, you look at a single technology and really it's just a tool. So a laser scanner, it can be used in a forensic scene, it can be used in an architectural job, and it could be used in entertainment for a movie set. But after you capture that data, then what do? You know, you can't just hand it off to a visual effects firm who has no idea how to take a point cloud. Just like in architectural, you can't take a point cloud and just give it to an architect who's never heard of a point cloud. You have to figure out what's really the end goal, and how is this helping you get there faster, or can you convert it back into a file format that a studio or a firm already knows how to use.
Yeah, I think that what is important is, yes, you have the technology, but you also have the people that know what to do with it.
Yep.
Because it's very easy to say, I've seen a lot of my colleagues and people that I know, that they say, well, everyone is 3D scanning, so I just got a 3D scanner. But they don't have the capabilities, or they don't have the people to deal with that technology, and they don't know how to do the post-processing, or, you know, all the things that you can do. Because I've got things like questions like, can you scale an object that you have already scanned? Can you make it bigger? And that's the kind of question you go like, yeah, because it's already digital. But there is a lot of education that has to be done in many industries.
Yeah.
So they can see that it's it's something that you can use, and if you know the process of how to use it and how you can do things and how it can help you in your projects, it's just a revelation actually for them, and that's the responsibility that we have, just to present the different technologies to people.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe within, types of projects you've worked on, what's been some of your focus? Is it very mixed between different types of applications, or have you heavily focused on something specific, like doing an actual scene or doing objects, using different types of scanners or?
So I've been more focusing on more like objects, because I have mainly worked in the prop department. So I've been doing more. I have a structural light scanner, and of course I'm a 3D designer, and I use ZBrush and ZBrush and that kind of thing. So it helps me to speed up the process, and that's what it all depends on what do you really want to do with the final data. So I can tell you, yes, I have my scanner, but they come up with an object that maybe the best thing is not to use the light scanner. Maybe let's do photogrammetry, or sometimes even just saying, I'll just draw it from scratch, and we just do it that way. So it really changes the what you want to do, or sometimes you just mix. I mix a little bit of drawing with a little bit of CAD with a little bit of 3D scanning. So it really changes, and I'm always willing on kind of adapting more different technologies. I love Nayda. I think it's amazing. And so that's the main thing. So I do objects, but the interesting thing is that I do objects in different departments. Sometimes I do things for costume that they weren't aware that I could do it, or decorations for sets that they don't know, because they're very traditional. Sometimes there are architects that they're not aware of the technology. So it really kind of like what I'm sort of like the feeling that I have is that once you have someone that knows the technology, it really brings a lot to a production in all the different departments in a way.
Yeah.
If they can connect. So I've done a little bit of photogrammetry because I used to work in another company that we did photogrammetry. But I just, for my job, I prefer the scanner, because it's a handheld.
Yep.
So I can just go to a set, or they bring something, scan it, and it's ready to go.
Nice.
So that's the kind of things that I've been doing.
And then around that, so mostly props for you. Have you done any full set or buildings or anything into like terrestrial scanning or work with the data?
No, I haven't. I've been part of a VFX department, the team, and there's something that they call the data wranglers. So they are the ones that they are taking information on the set. So they, of course, they use LiDAR and the different other technologies they use just to, again, take the information of the set and then just bring it into the digital environment. And that's another one that is very interesting. And I think that's the only thing that in the film industry is seen like the VFX are the ones who are actually leading this whole 3D scanning project, let's say it that way. So they are big on that. But for example, things that they can do, they set decoration, or the art department are the ones who build, the sets and everything, and construction. They're not aware of the technology, so they're a bit behind. But it is incredible, all the things that you can see, how quick they can do this, the scanning of the set and drones within them, and they use absolutely everything for that. And again, I know one of the biggest companies here in the UK, they have offices as well in the States that they do. That's what they do. They do all the LiDAR work. They do all the photogrammetry. So it's huge.
Yeah.
It is huge, and it has become something that is always part of a production.
Yeah. And
Either marketing purposes or just for the sake of having the data.
Yeah. I think one of the main use cases for doing the whole set is for being able to accurately track the camera position where it's set within the actual scene, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then what about for the prop side? So and I'm mostly trying to even get back to some basic thinking for people who don't know anything about this side of things. What's kind of a start to finish workflow as to why you would scan a prop, and then what gets done with it?
So you always want to keep track of everything. You want to have what you do in the film. At the end of the film, you always need to archive or just to collect all the data that you have for the next one. As you can see now, every movie is like movie 1, and then we have movie 2, 3, and 4. But it's always to keep track of what's being used, and of course as marketing, because everything in a way is being used for marketing purposes or they're being used for games. So it's just the whole idea of having all the data that you can.
A digital asset for everything.
A digital asset is very important. So you don't know, maybe when you're in post, that's when you finish shooting and then you start editing the film. Something is wrong with the scene, and then you need to use again that prop for some reason. So you have a digital file of that. Mm-hmm. That sometimes works, sometimes they might. I've been in the industry for a while, but of course I haven't been in all the departments. That's some of the idea that I have, how they might use it as well. Costume, they might use it for maybe having a reference that they can use to build something else. So it's always the chance of having something that you can work on. Mm-hmm. And of course, VFX, that is the main thing. Why would you have a prop?
Yep.
And
yeah. What within some of your workflows are some of your major challenges with the technology, would you say? One we hear a lot is like the size of data and sharing that data.
It is huge, the size of data. And of course, the majority of the things that I have scanned, they tend to be a little bit big, most of them. And it's, of course, is the handling of the data is the problem. The scanning process is not too difficult, mm-hmm. to be honest, because I live in a studio mm-hmm. environment where, you can sort of like manage the light conditions and do things like that. But it's the whole idea of then how you manipulate the data and how you transfer the data, how big it is. And unfortunately, you kind of meet people, they just go like, the bigger the file, the better the quality. Mm. So the size of the file is one of my main issues, and of course trying to your equipment has to be appropriate to be able to manage that. Mm-hmm. So that's some of the challenges that sometimes you really need to be here, like on here, so you can, your workflow is is quick, and you turn around is quick for an environment like the film industry, that is, everything has to be done.
Yeah, it moves very quickly.
You need to have everything done.
That was one thing. Again, film is not our background, but we've done a few movie sets, and it was definitely very much that. It was like, you need to be close, you need to be on standby, because as soon as they're done filming this shot, they're gonna say, all right, lighter scan, go, and you got like 3 minutes to get in there and scan everything, get off. Where
turn the lights, and then they're gone, and then you have to wait till tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I know what it is.
Yeah. What about in the processing side? Is there a step within the processing of the data or modeling, something in that realm that you do that you think could use some major improvements?
Improvements to the what exactly?
Like any of the steps once you capture and you have the point cloud data, whatever it is that you do after that. where you're processing it into a model, or the, whatever it is you're doing with the data? Is there kind of a place that seems like a struggle or a pain point?
I don't think so. I think once you are in this industry and then you start working with different technologies, right? I think you assume that you really have to be the hero of that particular or the of that particular technology. So you end up, there's a lot of pressure once you say, look, I'm scanning this, and then you sometimes might not get the right data because of different conditions. But I think sometimes that you really have to jump from different programs, different software to deal with different problems in a way. So and sometimes as well, the way people want the final file, the extension of the file could be sometimes challenging because everyone uses different programs. So there's one they like Maya, the other one like different, like Rhino. Rhino's not really good. They don't like meshes, so they have. So it's not one platform for that is the one that you choose and you say, okay, I'm happy this file is going to go here. There is a lot of when you're saving your files, there is a lot of things that you have to do, like decimate, and you have to do this, and then you have to the file has to be different extensions. So that's the post-processing of the data, and the conversion of the files is still, it takes time.
Have you so obviously a lot of film, have you branched into also doing gaming? I think really it's a lot of similar technologies, but have you worked in any games?
I haven't.
Okay.
Actually, because the nature of gaming is asking a lot of my skills just to improve, and because I'm in the prop department, there are things that are just easier for me to do that way, like the rigging of of a file or something like that, and the quality of the texture is something that has to be high quality. It's something that I haven't explored yet.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in VR, but I haven't done anything like it.
Yeah. So
I haven't prepared any files for that.
Yeah.
So it's just.
So I was going to say, knowing that's something you're interested in and thinking about kind of where you see things going over the next few years, or where you imagine technology could change to take your job, or even if it's just on a personal level, something like VR that you're interested in, what are some things you'd like to get into or see?
Well, actually, if you see the situation that we're living right now with coronavirus and everything, in a way, this is going to take our technology, the 3D scanning and all this different technology, like really, it's gonna go up significantly. Also because I've been following all the protocols that we're gonna follow after this whole crisis, and when we start shooting again, there is a lot of VFX that has to be involved, and there is a lot of virtual content that it has to be created. So I think actually for me, I'm very glad that's gonna happen, because we're gonna explore now, and we're gonna be able to explode this whole technology to a point that people, they're gonna look at it and they're gonna say like, oh God, this is very interesting. So we can do this now. We can do that because people sometimes they have to be pushed to see things in a different way, and we've been pushed in a way that you see, okay, now we need to do more lighter so we can see the set, so that's great for us. So I think that's going to be a lot of more as they did in The Mandalorian. That is a very interesting case of I'm not sure if that can be called VR, but that they use the backgrounds with the projection of the sets, and so there wasn't a lot of construction going on, and it was different. As well as The Lion King, that it was so interesting. So I think we're going I think that industry is it's just very, very exciting. Things are going to happen very, very soon, and we have a lot of things to do, and very exciting projects will come up from all of this.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
we've seen that same comment really through all industries is, hey, there's a technology that allows you to have your whatever it is, your set, your building, your oil and gas facility, your anything. You can have an entire virtual site by doing drones and laser scanning and panoramic imagery. And now today, nobody's traveling, nobody's going on airplanes. And so the fact that we could use someone local to go capture a site and now give that to anybody in any country to use for a project tool is, I think, is going to become more and more desired.
I've always thought that whoever does LiDAR and whoever does, all the drones, that's gold. Because you can use that in so many different ways. It's just connecting the dots that is going to take, we're going to come up with projects that are just amazing.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of data that has been saved, hasn't been used maybe sometimes properly. But if you come up with an idea, you say, like, we can use the data for this.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be
Now's the time.
Now is the time to do it.
Yeah. Just another question I thought of right now. Is as far as you and props and scanning and capture, has 100% of your work really been like doing a prop in a studio, or have you had to be exterior on a site and capture things? Or
I as a freelancer, as many of us, I do everything. So I do not only do films. I always I like to have different, I like a challenge. So I've worked with a lot of artists. I've worked with a lot of people, artists, architects, woodworkers. You have no idea. Once you present, they ask you what you do. Is, I do 3D scanning and I do so once you tell them, it's like, so what do you do? And then you start talking to them, and then you just say, like, well, but we can do this, and then we can do that, and then the whole thing is just like a new world. And so I have clients from all the different industries.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And industries that you don't even understand, or people that just don't know how to do things, and just go like, let's do it this way. I was like, okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's something we enjoy about having these conversations with people is like we said earlier, each of the technologies is really just the tool. Once you talk to someone who has a different perspective or a different project type or a different industry, they may come up with solutions or reasons to do it that you'd never even thought of. So we're excited to continue our collaboration and just sharing information.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, thanks for jumping on with us today. I think it's fun to hear what people have going on, and I think there's so many people who have no idea. Like I said earlier, they have no idea how many scenes in a movie are virtual, and props and scanning and modeling, and and it's impressive to continue to see the technology adoption. So thanks for joining us today. Do you have any other thoughts you'd like to share?
No, I think that it was amazing. Thank you so much for doing all this. And I just want to say to people, keep scanning, happy 3D printing, and thank you so much.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having us, and we look forward to staying in touch with you.
That's great.
All righty, stay safe. Bye.
Reality Capture Network, bringing the future to you.